BBOR Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. BlackBoxNed88 on Instagram for the bonus podcast. And just a quick reminder, every Monday is Zodiac Mondays. Wednesday is an Ask Me Anything. That's an AMA, so please drop your questions below for things that you would like discussed here on the show. And Friday is an Anything Goes. Any subject is fair game, mostly talking about true crime, serial killers, the Zodiac Killer, but any subject is welcome. All right, so please share some ideas in the comment section about what you would like to hear about on this channel, and let's get started. Okay, hello everybody. Today is Monday, another Zodiac Monday. Welcome to the show. And just a couple of quick announcements before we begin. The first is that it is now the month of December, and anyone who is listening to these episodes as they are coming out regularly, Michael Morford will be releasing a podcast on the disappearance of Donna Lass, where he interviews a first-hand connection to Donna, Donna's roommate from San Francisco, actually, Joanne, who was using the name Joanne Getchie in 1970. Donna Lass disappeared on September 6th of that year, and Morph will release his podcast on December 18th, 2021. You can follow all of his activities on ZodiacKiller.net, or even ZodiacKillerNet as a Twitter handle, all in one block. ZodiacKillerNet on Twitter one more time. I can't wait to hear what Morph is going to reveal about the disappearance of Donna Lass, and what Joanne Getchie can share with us about a window into Donna's world. Some other moments in the true crime world involving the month of December bring us to the podcast Crime After Crime. It is weekly. No, it isn't weekly. It is a monthly podcast. That's what I was talking about, December. It is a monthly podcast hosted by Daniel Hallen and John Lorden, and they did an episode about real-life Grinches, like how the Grinch stole Christmas, people who did those types of crimes in real life, and I think it's one of the best episodes that they've ever done. And I can't invite you enough to check out their channel. I can't recommend it enough, is what I meant to say. Crime After Crime, available here on YouTube. But there was a very interesting point in the episode, and I don't think that this is a spoiler, because this was an afterthought that they shared in this episode about real-life Grinches, about people who were actually trying to ruin Christmas. It's almost an afterthought, because these two guys are arrested, and they're sent to jail. And the guards did something very unethical. Now, I'm told that there's a scene in the movie Shane where someone says, "Pick up the gun," and a guy says, "I don't want to, you'll shoot me." I never saw the movie, but I heard the comedian Bill Hicks talk about it, about how the world is manipulated through the power system and so on. Someone's like, "Pick up the gun." "No, you'll shoot me." "Pick up the gun." And then the guy picks up the gun, and he shoots him. And then he's like, "Well, you saw him. He had a gun." Okay, that's a gun. But the story from Crime After Crime was prison guards gave these two criminals a ladder. They didn't even have to use a gun. They gave them a ladder, and they were trying to escape the prison. They actually did climb up the ladder, and I believe they walked out on the other side, and the same guards who gave them the ladder shot them dead. Look, they're trying to escape. They orchestrated the whole thing just to shoot them dead. This was actually at a prison in Jamaica, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is, when we talk about true crime, we not only want to learn the stories of what happened, but also to have a greater understanding of humanity. And there are some nasty elements in humanity. People do some terrible things, and I think about half the population chooses to turn a blind eye to that and be like, la 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 la, nothing bad is happening. I don't want to hear about anything that will bring me bad vibes. And the other half of the world is like, I want to know what's going on because it is true, it is real. And to know what is out there, like what you will experience under certain conditions, part of it is natural curiosity, and the other part of it is actually just learning about how humanity is going to behave, because we want to learn everything, right? But some other updates from the true crime world is that I was planning to do a very big series following the trial of Francisco Alejandro Mendez, which was supposed to begin on November 29th of 2021, but there has been a delay in that trial, and that won't begin until 2022. As of now, there could be other delays, and we still have the global pandemic going on, so not really sure. Francisco Alejandro Mendez is on trial for the murder of Dwayne Simmons and the attempted murder of Corey Ballantyne, and as I understand, he is going to plead guilty, but even if he pleads guilty to first-degree murder, there will still be a trial. So I just want to find out everything that's going to happen, because this was a case that I had covered on BlackBoxOnlineRadio, and the developments are still happening. And as far as developments and updates, please tune in on Thursday for the episode on the Donna Lass series. It will be the conclusion to a podcast series that's been going on for about 4 months here on this channel, and I was doing a regular series about the disappearance of Donna Lass, and I think it's finally reached its conclusion, because I guess I'll just share everything that I have observed about the disappearance of Donna Lass from 1970 on this Thursday, like my responses, my genuine theories about what I believe happened to Donna. Everything will be released. So now's a great time to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and you can follow along with all of these true crime discussions. There's going to be a new podcast series that will be replacing that on Thursdays, and as always, the Anything Goes segments on Fridays. And after the new year, I will really try to get back with a more consistent schedule, doing the show at least 3 times a week, with the AMAs included on Wednesday. I mean, the AMAs had to be put on the back burner for a little while because of some time constraints, but also, I really hope to do more debunking videos in that Zodiac Killer series, and just to do some things with True Crime Talk Radio, which was more about responding to things in the media like I was just going through now, whereas the AMAs is when I respond to your questions and comments. There are a lot of cases that we can cover and go through. Big thank you to everybody who listened to the episodes on the story of Ira Einhorn and the murder of Holly Maddox, as well as the extended episode on the disappearance of William Higgins. There are just a lot of fascinating true crime stories in the world, and people who are willing to explore the darker side of humanity, feel free to go through other episodes of Black Box Online Radio and just let me know what you think in the comments section. And now to get into today's topic. No, wait. I have one more final announcement. And this is the absolute final announcement. I just wanted to let you guys know that I have updated the remaining backlog of episodes onto LaunchPad 1. That's the place where you can download this show for free as a pure podcast. Take it on the go anywhere and anyhow. LaunchPad 1. It's under the same name, Black Box Online Radio. There's a link to that in the description box. And as I said, you can download it as a pure podcast. Take it on the go anywhere and anyhow. If you would like to download the video version, you can use YouTube Premium, but you do have to pay for that. LaunchPad 1 is free. And in addition to listening to the channel, which is the best way to support Black Box Online Radio, you can go over to Amazon.com and look at the book Killer on a White Horse by me, Ned DeHaan. It is a novel murder mystery inspired by the Zodiac Manson connection. However, it is fictional, and you can always visit the Teespring page. Feel free to have a look at some of the merchandise, and remember, being weird is not a crime. Okay, now to get into today's subject for real. I had been planning on doing a series of episodes on the Zodiac Letters, and more precisely talking about some of the unconfirmed letters, because with the Zodiac Killer mystery, some people believe that the first Zodiac crime occurred on December 20th of 1968 with the Lake Herman Road murders. Other people believe that the crimes actually began in 1963 with the Domingos Edwards murders, and some people think it was 1962 with the murder of Ray Davis. There is an enormous debate and discussion that is going on in the true crime world about when the Zodiac Killer first started operating, but other people think that there is an equal debate with the letters. When was the first Zodiac Killer letter mailed? Was it in 1966 after the murder of Sherry Jo Bates, or 1967, I guess would be more appropriate? It could be 66 because some people think the desktop poem that was found after the murder of Sherry Jo Bates on October 30th of that year was written by the Zodiac. Other people absolutely reject that. And when did the letters end? Did they end in 1974 with the Exorcist letter? Or did they continue all the way until 1990 with the Eureka card, the one that has the snowman and the almost Groucho Marx style mask? When exactly did the letters begin and end? So there were some that I haven't carefully reviewed in that time span from 1966 to 1990, and as Steve Hodel pointed out, he believes that the Zodiac Killer and the Black Dahlia Avenger were one and the same, and their letters that were mailed after the Black Dahlia. There is a debate that goes on. So I thought that doing some episodes on some of the letters, and I'm not going to advertise it as a regular series, but I thought that doing some episodes on some of the letters would be rather valuable. To read the text of the letter that was mailed on April 24th of 1978, it says, "Dear Editor, this is the Zodiac speaking. I am back with you. Tell Herb Cain I am here. I have always been here. That city pig Toschi is good, but I am smarter and better. He will get tired, then leave me alone. I am writing for a good movie about me." Did I really say that? I am waiting for a good movie about me. Who will play me? I am now in control of all things. Yours truly, the Zodiac sign, yes, SFPD 0. And the Zodiac would often frequently have the Zodiac symbol and then say a number, maybe plus 37, or like the 1986 letter that says plus 100. And we don't always know if these are coming from the same people or not, but somebody asked me a question during one of the AMAs. Why didn't the Zodiac make a comment about the 1971 movie called The Zodiac Killer? And I didn't have a good answer at the time, but as you heard there, it says, I am waiting for a good movie about me. Who will play me? I am now in control of all things. But I guess that is some comment on the Zodiac depictions in films. And because it's not only the 1971 film The Zodiac Killer, it is also Dirty Harry and the character Scorpio, and maybe even a film that predates all of the actual Zodiac activity, and this could be just paying homage to the character Zodiac and Charlie Chan at Treasure Island. So I just wanted to make that particular observation. Now, I think that there is a lot of good analysis online about this where people have shared some very fascinating statements, but as of now, I think it is fair to say that the 1978 letter is unconfirmed, whereas many people believe that the final confirmed Zodiac letter was the Exorcist letter in 1974. But there's an interesting note in the timeline, and that is that the Zodiac stopped killing in 1969, officially. Everything else is unconfirmed. And then there is the 2-year cease in Zodiac activity, which is really 1972 and 73. It doesn't appear that there are any confirmed letters or crimes that took place in 1972 and 73. And then the Zodiac would resurface again in 1974. Now, with the Exorcist letter, the authorities have accepted that it is a genuine Zodiac communication. They have not done so with the 1978 letter. A particular difference with the Exorcist letter and the 78 letter is the Exorcist letter begins with, I saw and think The Exorcist was the best satirical comedy ever. It does not say, this is the Zodiac speaking. But as I began to read more about the 78 letter, I went very quickly on to ZodiacCyphers.com. If you are not reading ZodiacCyphers.com and you're curious about the Zodiac mystery, that is the website that I recommend to you the most. Richard Grinnell does a very good job of that. He's also the co-host of Zodiac Speaking with Mike Morford, and you can get that anywhere you get your podcasts. But the first line of an article on ZodiacCyphers.com says, almost certainly a genuine Zodiac communication. This letter was mailed to the San Francisco Chronicle on April 24th of 1978, with the author declaring, I am back with you. Okay, almost certainly a Zodiac communication. I had never been that big of a believer in the past, but I think one of the opportunities that I have here is I share my journey with you guys about how I learn about things. That's really what I do on Black Box Online Radio. It's not so much me giving my own analytical, wonderful opinions on things. It's talking about how I encountered the material, how I learned about it, what made me have this idea that I have right now. And if you go back to an older episode of BBOR. It's the episode where I did the legalized ecstasy. There's some legal ecstasy alternative called Katie, which is just a combination of caffeine and vitamins, and I took that, and I was waiting for it to kick in, for the effects of the Katie to start, and you can hear the whole thing on one of those episodes of BBOR. It's easy to find on the channel. But somebody asked me that question, do you think the 1978 letter is authentic? And I said no, because at that time, I thought that the Melvin Belli letter was not authentic. And somebody wrote in the comment section, now, hey, Ned, you're missing a big point. The Melvin Belli letter contained a piece of Paul Stein's shirt. It has to be an authentic Zodiac letter. And the Melvin Belli letter mailed on December 20th of 1969. And I was like, no, I just still don't accept it. If you look at the handwriting of the Melvin Belli letter, it looks so different than the earlier Zodiac letters. There's almost no tilting of the letters to the right, except for that final word, longer. And the letters are very neat. The other ones are sloppy. I was like, some way, somehow, I think that the Melvin Belli letter was not authentic. This is what I thought in the past, mind you. And I looked at some other Zodiac letters, particularly the 1978 letter, and I noticed that the printing of the word Zodiac, like you see, this is the Zodiac speaking at the top, it was so extraordinarily similar that I thought, okay, the same person who wrote the Melvin Belli letter also wrote the 1978 letter. Now, somebody could have practiced their handwriting to imitate the Zodiacs. That could be one thing. But I'll share something about that in a second. But I had to have a big reversal about that claim that I had made, because Soren Korsgaard wrote the book America's Jack the Ripper, and he posted a whole array of Zodiac letters, and not only the letters, but also the envelopes that the letters were contained in. And you can see that some of them are really sloppy, some are very neat, and some are in between. But you can see how all the handwriting is coming from the same person. So I had to finally admit, okay, it seems that I was wrong about this whole Melvin Belli letter not being authentic. And the explanation and the justification that Zodiac theorists bring about is they say that it was an active participant who wrote the Melvin Belli letter, and that same active participant wrote the 1978 letter. I was not alone with that, but no, I believe the Melvin Belli letter is authentic, and if everything I said in that episode was correct, which it's probably not, but if it was, hypothetically, that means that the 78 letter could very well be authentic. And unbeknownst to me at the time, there was actually something else on ZodiacCiphers.com talking about just that, comparing the 1978 letter to the Melvin Belli letter. And Richard has a post here that says, thanks to Druser, a Canadian Zodiac researcher, for his great work on this topic of indented writing. And not only is the printing of the word Zodiac very similar, and I need to specify, if you look at the 1978 letter compared to the Melvin Belli letter, I think it's only the final letters, like the first letter Z in the word Zodiac, this is the Zodiac speaking, looks very different to me. But the O, the D, the I, A, and C, like the final 5 letters of the word, look extraordinarily similar. I mean, I'm not a handwriting expert. I'm not sure what Morrill or Michael Wachtel or somebody who actually has any metric other than my own superficial observations, but I think they look extraordinarily similar, as if they came from the same person. Also, the word speaking, and this is the Zodiac speaking, it seems very similar, shockingly similar. I mean, like, if you're just to ask me, do I think the same person wrote these? Yes, so I can understand why people come to the conclusion that it is authentic. But, and this is a very big but, the points that they brought up on Zodiac Ciphers, again from Druser, is that there is a very particular indentation in the 1978 letter and the Melvin Belli letter. It says, "This is the Zodiac speaking," and then there's the letter I. And to read the text of the Melvin Belli letter's introduction, "Dear Melvin, this is the Zodiac speaking. I wish you a happy Christmas." And then, from back to the 1978 letter, "This is the Zodiac speaking. I am back with you." So the I is indented and like spaced apart very similarly in the 78 letter and the 69 letter. Again, it's a shocking similarity. So I don't want to immediately discredit the authorities, because I was discussing this with Tom Voigt once, and he said, you have to remember that the authorities always have more information than they're going to share or give to the general public. They have maybe some reasons behind the scenes as to why they make the claims that they make. And I'm not someone who is always suspicious of the authorities, sometimes, but not always. Like, if they say that they have made a discovery, I don't immediately doubt and discredit them. But what do you guys think, though? I mean, do you think that handwriting is extraordinarily similar the way that I have said, or do you simply flat out think the 1978 letter is not authentic? So, there's a reason why this is a full episode. And the next point is, if the Zodiac Killer didn't write the 1978 letter, well then who did? And the first person, whom you can probably guess I'm going to say as an alternative suspect, is none other than Dave Toschi. Tell that city pig Toschi he is good, and so on. He has been accused of fabricating the 1978 letter because of he wanted attention, wanted to bring back some publicity to the Zodiac case. He thought it would make himself look good, and so on. And then he was demoted to pawn shop detail after this, and Pedro Fernandez, who worked with the SFPD, has confirmed that, and he was actually the first person to tell me about it, but I did read it on ZodiacKillerFacts.com, and I'll share something from them in just a second. But also, Dave Toschi was accused of fabricating fan letters, like letters that people had sent them, like letters of admiration, I should say. So, it was just a lot of suspicion was surrounding him. Now, he is not the only person who has been accused of fabricating the 1978 letter, and I'll continue with that onward in a minute, but there is a post on ZodiacKillerFacts.com that I was just introducing, and it talks about the 1978 letter. First it says, mailed to the San Francisco Chronicle on April 24th, 1978, this letter was deemed a forgery by a majority of experts. Again, I have to say that it's unconfirmed. I have to say that it's an unconfirmed Zodiac communication. I mean, I'm suspicious about the similarities in the handwriting and the similarities in the line spacing, but I want to be 100% crystal clear with you guys. Until some bigger breakthrough comes in, I will still say that it's an unconfirmed communication. But am I curious about that? Do I think that there's a high chance that it actually is a Zodiac communication? Yes. But if I had to bet my life on it, I will go by the official statement, just being clear about that. But the next suspect in forging the 1978 letter is none other than Robert Graysmith himself. And I would like to read the post that has been written here on ZodiacKillerFacts.com. I hope Michael Butterfield doesn't mind if I read this in its entirety, or close to the entirety, that is. 2 years after Robert Graysmith obtained the copyright for his book, the San Francisco Chronicle received the first Zodiac letter in almost 4 years. Although initially deemed authentic, several handwriting experts subsequently concluded that the letter was a forgery. Graysmith claimed the letter was authentic and soon constructed an elaborate, though seriously flawed theory to support it. According to Robert Graysmith, the Zodiac used handwriting samples obtained from several different people and an enlarger/projector in order to fabricate the handwriting style. The writing on the car door at Lake Berryessa is unmistakably similar to the Zodiac's handwriting, and Sherwood Morrill himself concluded that the Zodiac was responsible for that message. Well, I don't think he was right about everything, and as we saw in the 21st century, Sherwood Morrill is much less of a perfectionist than we thought he was. It is unlikely, if not implausible, that the Zodiac used a projector on this occasion. In Zodiac, Graysmith put forth the theory that Arthur Lee Allen was the Zodiac, and therefore the author of the Zodiac's many handwritten messages. He used his elaborate projector theory to explain how Allen was able to disguise his handwriting and fool document experts such as Sherwood Morrill, who was one of the only experts to conclude that Allen did not write the Zodiac Letters. And I have to read a sentence again. I'm sorry, guys, but Sherwood Morrill, who was only one of several experts to conclude that Allen did not write the Zodiac Letters. I need to be just say that again so anyone doesn't mishear or misinterpret that. I misread one word the first time. Means that many people said Allen did not write the letters, and Sherwood Morrill was one person who agreed with that. Graysmith claims in one quick sentence, Sherwood Morrill confirmed my theory, yet he states in 1981 that he dropped in on Sherwood Morrill to compare the handwriting of a suspect with the Zodiac's. If Morrill actually believed that Graysmith's projector theory was true, he would not continue to exclude or include suspects based on their handwriting. Graysmith seems oblivious to this blatant contradiction. Official documents and media interviews, as well as the expert's family, demonstrate that Morrill's opinions never changed throughout his many years on the case. Until his death, Morrill stated that he was certain the Zodiac used his normal handwriting with the letters, and the expert was unwavering in his belief that he could identify the killer using little more than a bank deposit slip. Graysmith was one of the only individuals who had been claiming that the Zodiac had actually written the 1978 letter. Faced with handwriting and DNA evidence that excluded Allen as the author of the 78 letter, well, those details do not seem the clearest about the DNA evidence on the 1978 letter, but as I said, it's really a quote from Tom Voigt that the authorities always have more than they are leading on. Graysmith conveniently began to speculate that mysterious unnamed accomplices might have written the letters while Allen committed the actual crimes. Okay, so I've even been curious about that myself, but that was about 3 years ago, and in those 3 years since then, I think that is just making assumptions, and Graysmith does this all the time. Anytime I talk about Graysmith and Arthur Lee Allen, he made assumptions. He had to make assumptions to force his suspect into the theory, to make the theory fit. It's like pushing the round peg through a square hole and vice versa, because Arthur Lee Allen was balding. The Zodiac was never reported to have been balding. You can see the composite sketch for yourself. You can read Mike Peugeot's description of the Zodiac at Blue Rock Springs. The Zodiac had a full head of hair. So he's like, oh, well, Arthur Lee Allen was wearing a wig. Or how about at Lake Berryessa when they found the Wingwalker shoe prints? Arthur Lee Allen was reported to have only worn tennis shoes or sneakers. And then he's like, well, maybe he cut off the soles of different shoes and glued them on to his tennis shoes or sneakers. Assumption. Oh, well, maybe he used a projector to alter his handwriting in some way, and he copied the styles of other people. Assumption. Graysmith does this with Arthur Lee Allen all the time. By 1999, Graysmith seemed to have lost track of his ever-flexible positions on the 1978 letter. In an on-camera interview for the television program Perfect Crimes, Graysmith told viewers that we received a Zodiac letter on the day after Arthur Lee Allen was released from Atascadero. Allen was released from Atascadero in August of 1977. The letter in question arrived at the offices of the San Francisco in April of 1978. All right, so thank you to Michael Butterfield and ZodiacKillerFacts.com. But I said that Graysmith gets accused of fabricating the 1978 letter, and you heard that thing in the beginning about how it's after he got the copyright for his book. Well, the person who accuses Graysmith of fabricating the 1978 letter is Thomas Henry Horan, author of The Myth of the Zodiac Killer, and his whole theory is laid out, I believe it's actually in the first part, The Great Zodiac Killer Hoax of 1986, when he says that Graysmith was trying to get his Zodiac book published. He started work on the Zodiac Killer book in 1972, and I guess according to Michael Butterfield there, he got the copyright for it in 76. So during that time, he's trying to get his book published, and that Graysmith fabricated the letter himself as a way to drum up some publicity or get the Zodiac back in the news, so to speak. And Thomas Horan has also accused Robert Graysmith of fabricating the Melvin Belli letter. And, even though I had read his book, I didn't memorize it, and I kind of came to that same conclusion independently, and I thought that was rather remarkable that both of us made that same type of observation, that the handwriting of the Melvin Belli letter and the 1978 letter looks extraordinarily similar, and even Druser making those same comments about, hey, this letter looks very similar. It's almost like the same person wrote this specific letter, but the handwriting on other letters is not quite the same. Yet, I still have to say it's an unconfirmed Zodiac communication, but I can understand the reasoning why people are saying this, that the Melvin Belli letter and the 78 letter are extraordinarily similar. But did Graysmith actually fabricate the 78 letter? Well, this is connected to Thomas Horn's theory about how Graysmith was an active participant in the Zodiac hoax from the beginning. He believes that someone wrote letters taking credit for murders that he didn't commit, and up until November 9th of 1969, they were written by Harold K. Snook. But Toschi is someone that I mentioned briefly, before this giant spiel on Robert Graysmith. And, okay, Dave Toschi gets accused as well of fabricating the 78 letter, but that isn't the only Zodiac communication that Toschi gets accused of fabricating. If you didn't hear the most recent episode on the disappearance of Donna Lass, I will read a message that Tom Voigt had sent me regarding Toschi being accused of fabricating Zodiac communications. Hi, Ned. Back in 1998, I was told by Harvey Hines during a private conversation between Hines and Inspector Toschi that Toschi had confessed to writing the Pines card. I didn't believe it then, and I don't believe it now. This is the one that is mailed linking the Zodiac Killer to the Lake Tahoe area. Now, I will share more of this on Thursday, but as I understand it, the card that was mailed after the disappearance of Donna Lass just says Lake Tahoe. It doesn't say anything about her name was Donna Lass, or it doesn't state any facts that only the Zodiac and the police would know. There's no piece of physical evidence that would have tied the Zodiac to any crime in Lake Tahoe. So then the authorities are like, well, we need to find out who could this letter possibly be referring to. This card, actually, this is the Donna Lass postcard, as it is perhaps commonly known as. And then they thought, well, it must be referring to Donna Lass. She seemed like someone who had gone missing at that time that fit the Zodiac's possible MO. Never mind that the Zodiac didn't abduct the victims. Never mind that the Zodiac didn't target lone females. Never mind that the Zodiac didn't discard the victims' remains. Never mind that the Zodiac didn't come up to people in casinos and say, hey, Toots, want to come take a walk with me? Never mind any of that, but, okay, I think you can get the idea. The authorities are the ones who made the connection that they must be talking about Donna Lass, that this postcard must be in reference to Donna Lass, and you heard there very clearly that Harvey Hines said that Dave Toschi confessed to writing the Pines card. Now, after Toschi gets accused of forging other things, he did admit to that, like those letters of admiration that I was talking about. He did admit that he had fabricated things, that he had created things under the names of other people. But one thing that he was very adamant about is that he did not fabricate any Zodiac communications. And his response was, that would have just made more work for him. Now, did he do it or not? I don't know, but someone in law enforcement would have had access to the Zodiac letters, like, who could have studied them well enough to fabricate them to that level. I get that, but, I mean, I just can't accuse him of that. As I said, though, I mean, even if I think it's inauthentic, I'm not able to identify an exact letter writer. The whole reason I'm telling you this is I wanted to point out that Toschi was accused of fabricating multiple Zodiac communications. And I read this off last time about Donna Lass, but just to continue the full message from Tom Voigt after he says that he does not believe that Dave Toschi fabricated the Pines card. One interesting tidbit of info regarding Donna Lass that your listeners might not be aware of is that she was from tiny Beresford, South Dakota, population 1,600 in 1966. In January of 1966, Richard Gaikowski was in Beresford for some reason on his way to Albany, New York, and he mailed a postcard from Beresford. Both Lass and Gaikowski had a medical background, and both were from South Dakota. Every time I see that SD, I always want to say San Diego. I've done that so many times on the channel. I never get it down right. Both were from South Dakota, and both ended up in San Francisco at the same time in the late 1960s. But since Blaine Blaine is weird, let's immediately dismiss all of the above, right? At least that's the unfortunate attitude at Reddit. And that is from Tom Voigt of ZodiacKiller.com. Point number 1. Okay, that is an observation. That's a genuine observation. Both Donna Lass and Richard Gaikowski had a medical background. Both were from South Dakota. Richard Gaikowski was from Watertown, South Dakota. So, as I said, I don't think that it's too odd that he is going through Beresford, South Dakota. If he has connections to the state, if he's a native of the state, I mean, anything he would do there. And this is getting away from the 78 letter. This is just some additional material that was loosely connected. But this point here, though, about but Blaine Blaine is weird, so let's immediately dismiss all of the above. At least that's the unfortunate attitude on Reddit. Blaine Blaine is the informant who is also known as Goldcatcher, who brought Richard Gaikowski forward as a Zodiac killer suspect. And I didn't read off this segment during the last episode because I didn't feel it was completely relevant to Donna Lass. This is more about Blaine Blaine and Goldcatcher and Gaikowski. But Blaine Blaine is working on a book about just that, Richard Gaikowski. I think it's going to be called Gaikowski and Goldcatcher, or Goldcatcher and the Zodiac. And I think that Blaine is, I think he said that it was going to be 1,000 pages long. And I don't necessarily think that people don't trust Blaine because he is weird. I mean, I follow him on Facebook. We've exchanged a couple of messages. He seems calm and collected in the messages that I've exchanged with him. However, looking at his posts, I don't think he's weird per se. It's more like he is somewhat deranged, perhaps even in a mentally ill kind of way. And I think Blaine has even posted on Facebook about having a mental illness. So, I mean, this part of him, I'm even hesitating to tell you, but I'm also the host of the Zodiac Killer Interviews with the Experts series, and the one person I wish I would have been able to interview for that is Richard Grinnell of Zodiac Ciphers. I think that he is one of the people who was truly missing, but the producer said that he was unable to be reached. They couldn't get in touch with Richard, and that was a real shame. However, after one of the interviews that I did, I was talking with someone, a guest on the show, won't even say who, and he said, "Oh yeah, this whole thing about Richard Gaikowski, Blaine Blaine is a crackpot. Just, that's what he is, a crackpot." And I was like, well, no, wait a second. There are a lot of people out there who are pushing Zodiac theories who are crackpots, but I think Blaine is different. I mean, I think he is dealing with some type of mental illness, and that it's affecting his observations. I don't think that he is just someone who is saying crazy things because he gets off on being weird. No, absolutely not. I think that he might not be completely aware of his mental faculties, and I don't want to say anything else other than that, because it's unfair of me to speculate or diagnose a real person. That's why Dr. Todd Grande always says that I'm not diagnosing anyone, because it's almost impossible to do without actually examining them. Never mind that I'm not even a doctor. But I do call into question his ability to formulate a narrative and so on. But when I read his book, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I would make it through the whole 1,000 pages on Gaikowski. I am very curious to know what he has to say, even though everything I've said is like, I don't necessarily trust his judgment in everything, but I think curiosity would get the better of me, and I would want to read that book. And I know that's not the clearest answer in the world about do you think Blaine has credibility, or what's the exact thing here, since Blaine is weird. Do I think he's weird? Yeah, but being weird is not a crime. Okay, do I think that he's being weird on purpose? No. And let's not kid ourselves. there are some people out there in the Zodiac world and the true crime world that are being weird on purpose, who are just somebody left it in the comments section. Who was the person who said that people just make up stories to be entertaining, and it's mostly just about entertaining themselves? Yeah, that stuff definitely does happen, but I don't think Blaine does that exactly. And in fact, I don't think he does it at all. I think it's something different going on. However, I think that'll bring us to the end of this episode here, and I know the last 5 minutes wasn't about the 1978 letter, but what do you think about that? What do you think about the 78 letter? Do you think it's authentic or not? What do you think about Richard Gaikowski as a Zodiac suspect? Or would you look forward to a book by Blaine, the informant known as Goldcatcher, about Gaikowski? What do you think? Please share your ideas in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you and read your messages, rather. And as I said, the Zodiac Killer Interviews with the Expert series is available on the Zodiac Killer channel. They have just posted the interview that I did with Soren Korsgaard, author of America's Jack the Ripper, and numerous other Zodiac experts have been featured on that one. All right, well, that's all from me now, and I will see you on Instagram for the bonus podcast. Until next time.